Hi, and welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Paul Steele from Bethlehem Church in Austin, Minnesota. The Bottom Line is our weekly summary of the previous Sunday's sermon. And if you've been following along with us, you know we've been in a sermon series looking at the book of Proverbs as we seek wisdom for life. And one of the ways that we need wisdom is in our relationships. And one of the most common relationships that people have is marriage. And so our bottom line from Sunday is this: God's people live with wisdom in marriage by being God's representatives to one another. God's people live with wisdom in marriage by being God's representative to one another. And we started out in the book of Proverbs, in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 4. And here Solomon writes this: "A worthy wife is a crown for her husband, but a disgraceful woman is like a cancer in his bones." And so while Solomon focuses in on the benefits of a good wife, this really equally applies to both husband and wife in our culture, in our situations. And what Solomon wants us to know, the wisdom he's offering to us, is that when we are loving, helpful, encouraging, supportive, we create a marriage that the people around us see as good. That's what it means that there's this crown. But on the opposite, if we're not loving, if we're not kind, if we're not encouraging, if we're not supportive, we create a marriage that will sooner or later fall apart. And so to help us understand what this looks like for us, we looked at 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. And here, Peter speaks directly to wives and to husbands on how they should live within marriage. And in both cases, what Peter says is that they are to represent Jesus to their spouse, and the way they love and the kindness they offer and their forgiveness and their care. That's their purpose in marriage. Above everything else is they are God's representative to the other person. And so they are to treat one another with care and love and with respect. That's the way that we create a marriage that God wants us to have. So the bottom line, remember, is God's people live with wisdom in marriage by being God's representative to one another. And our challenge this week is that we are to show each other in marriage agape love, a love that is loyal, that is kind, that is committed. And if you're not married, the challenge is simply to be kind to somebody else. That is the way that we begin to show God and his love to other people. That's how we represent him in this world. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of Bethlehem. And if you want to know more about Bethlehem Church and who we are and what we're doing, follow us on Facebook, and you can join us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 here on YouTube or on Facebook or in person next to Ellis Middle School in Austin, Minnesota. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and God bless.